Hey there, welcome to Chapter 5, Lesson 3A. The first 4 events that we're going to look at for the Revolutionary War. So the ones that you're going to be responsible for in the checkpoint tomorrow is knowing a few key things here. The Boston Massacre, colonists in Boston were shot after taunting British soldiers. Boston Tea Party. These two dudes, Sam Adams and Paul Revere, led patriots in throwing tea to the Boston Harbor to protest a tea tax. And the First Continental Congress, where delegates from all colonies except Georgia met to discuss problems with England and to promote independence. And the battles at Lexington and Concord, this was the site of the first armed conflict of the Revolutionary War. And if you can know that much right there, hey, maybe you don't need to watch the video. But I'm going to go ahead and give you some information that may help you out. So this is a timeline showing you how these things fit together. We looked at, in the first lesson, the Proclamation of 1763. This thing is happening well before, but already people are getting kind of ticked off because they're not allowed to expand into crazy Uncle Frank's backyard. So that's in 1763. 1765, a couple years later, the Stamp Act is passed. Years go by, and eventually the Boston Massacre breaks out in 1770. This starts off as a protest, and it's a unfortunate series of events where 5 people get shot and killed, and many more injured. But people find out about this all over the colonies, 13 colonies, and it gets seen as the Boston Massacre thanks to the engraving of Paul Revere. Years go by, and to help calm things down, England and Parliament, they take away some of the taxes that everyone was protesting at the Boston Massacre. I should have said it that way. They're protesting things like these taxes on paper products that are part of the Stamp Act. So they keep a tax on tea, because tea is a very valuable thing. This would be like soda today. People can drink water, but water is sometimes not clean. Milk sometimes not suitable for drinking, and juices sometimes fermenting. So you pretty much got alcohol, and you've got tea. So people drink tea a great deal, and so you make a lot of money off it. And the king wants to prove his point that he is still in charge. So he keeps the tax on tea to show that he's the boss, which leads to the Boston Tea Party in 1774. So the Boston Tea Party is a reaction to this, and it's a protest in Boston, but it's a protest where they are destroying this very valuable thing. Go to Best Buy and destroy some iPhones as a protest, and you get kind of a close idea. This tea is coming from the British Empire. The British Empire wants the colonies to buy this. They must only buy this because this is how they raise money to pay for the French Indian War. This is how they gain world power, by having colonies buy only their things. And so the colonists dump a boatload of things at a tea party. And that leads to a hullabaloo. In reaction to this, Britain passes the Coercive Acts, designed to coerce Boston and those New England people who get so riled up at their town meetings. It's designed to coerce them into behaving.
Whereas dangerous insurrections have been fomented in the town of Boston to the utter subversion of His Majesty's government and the utter destruction of the public peace, be it enacted that no goods or merchandise whatever be transported to or brought from any other colony or country. Be it enacted that for the suppression of riots, tumults, all disturbers of the king's peace that have been transported to England for trial. Be it enacted that for better regulating the government of Massachusetts, the present council is to be immediately disbanded. Be it enacted that Royal Army officers are authorized to quarter their troops among the citizenry. General Thomas Gage is hereby dispatched with 4 of our regiments to compel compliance with all these measures.
Gage's ships will close up the bay and cut us off from the rest of the country.
So the coercive acts limit the colonial legislatures. They limit their trade. They cut them off from trade with other colonies, and it's meant as a punishment to Boston for what they'd done or allowed to have happen. To discuss this mess, people met at the First Continental Congress in Philadelphia. This is the first time that these colonies are coming together to unite and discuss things as one common group with common interests rather than separate places. They're discussing their mutual interest in what they should do at the First Continental Congress. And shortly after that comes the shot heard around the world, which we know as this event. Oh, I should have done. Sorry, rewind. Because these Bostonians are getting crazy and they're getting supplies of weapons, they're keeping their weapons in a place here called Concord. Just in case there's going to be a conflict, the militia, because there is no standing army in these colonies, there's just the local militia, which is the people who defend themselves. Like a volunteer army, everybody can be a part of this, who's able to fight, and they train, and they practice, and they have many weapons stored in Concord, near Boston, in Concord, Massachusetts. So the British send an army to go get those guns. And a warning comes by way of Paul Revere, William Dawes, Samuel Prescott, and their midnight ride to warn that the redcoats are coming, or the regulars are coming, like the police are coming. And I warn everybody that this is happening, and the Minutemen are prepared to go at a minute's notice. They gather in Lexington to cut them off. And it's there at Lexington Green that the colonists and the redcoats, or the regulars, the army, meet, and the shot heard around the world is fired.
The Lexington militia gathers on the village common, dairy farmers and shopkeepers. But also among them are free African Americans and slaves.
Stand your ground. Don't fire unless fired upon. But if you mean to have war, let it begin here.
Captain John Parker once fought on the side of the British. A quarter of the men standing at his side are related to him. No one knows who fires the first shot at Lexington. But it's the shot heard round the world. The British fired up to 4 times the rate of the militia. Within minutes of the first shots fired at Lexington, 8 patriots are dead, 10 wounded. The American Revolution has begun. The Redcoats reach Concord at 9 in the morning. Acting on a tip-off from colonists loyal to the Crown, they raid the militia's arms stash. But the rebels have got there first, hiding almost everything. By late morning, more than 1,000 have arrived from the surrounding villages. Their plan, to defend their towns against the British.
Let's go!
The British soldiers left their barracks 15 hours ago. And now, they face a 20-mile march back to Boston. Shattered lives. An occupied city. Blood in the streets of Boston. And now Lexington. A people unified in the fight against tyranny. Now, the Patriots have their chance. The Patriots seize the upper hand and intend to make the British soldiers pay. They shadow the Redcoats' march, firing on them the entire way. 7 generations after the first settlers left England, in search of prosperity and freedom, their descendants will have to fight for these rights. Standing in their way is the might of the world's greatest military superpower.
And the Battle of Bunker Hill, on the hills overlooking Boston, the British begin to take back the land the colonists had just they were recently holding. And the year that follows, 1776, a book is published by Thomas Paine called Common Sense. And that book is meant to say, hey, no duh, if your parents are shooting at you, maybe it's time to leave the family. So Thomas Paine writes a pamphlet that says, this is not a battle about our rights, this is not these are not isolated things that we're trying to get our voices heard. These are the first battles, the first shots in a war for independence. And in that pamphlet, he does almost more than anything else to persuade people that this is a war for independence. And then at the Second Continental Congress, they vote to have George Washington take command of the Continental Army, and they pass, or they agree they're going to write a declaration. And we'll continue that with lesson 3B.